Who's your emergency contact? Who should we notify in the case of death? Welcome to the USP. I mentioned yesterday about the epidemic that's going on in the penitentiary with this particular drug, chemical, the Tucci, the K2, the synthetic weed, and so on and so forth. And just to give you an example of what it's doing to people in there, I just want to share a story with you today about an incident that happened in my block. On a particular day, I'm in the shower. When I come back in from the yard, I jump in the shower as soon as I can. Sometimes you got in line. And for me, when I go to the shower, I don't have security. I don't have nobody posting up in front of my doors or anything. Mainly because I'm not a gang member and I really don't have any enemies in the penitentiary. The incidents that I get into or that comes about, it's not really gang related or race related. It's just, dudes don't know how to do their time, so we got to politic and with whatever group it is that they have the issue with. But most gang members, or every gang member actually, they have a policy when they go to the shower, they have one or two dudes post up in front of the door. Because, in the environment that we live in, it's an unsteady truth. We have the rules and politics put in place to try to keep the peace, but there's people in there that harbors a lot of animosity and a lot of hatred against other groups or other races. So to protect themselves, those that are affiliated, they never want to be caught slipping. And the most place that you're vulnerable at is when you're on the toilet, using the bathroom, or when you're in the shower. Because in the shower, you're not going to shower with your shoes on. I mean, there's been times where dudes do that. And there are dudes that, when they used to issue out those boots, steel-toe boots, they jump in there with their boots on and shower with their boots on. Just because there's been, countless incidents where dudes getting run up on while they're in the shower. So all the gang members, their policy, I don't care if you're a Sereno, I don't care if you're a Norteño, a Crip, a Blood, folks, Vice Lords, and on down the line, Kings and all that. When they go shower, they got at least one person watching the door. Most times they have two. For me, I just go in and out of the shower whenever I go. I don't have any security or anything like that. And and I never had an issue with it. But at this time, I'm in the shower, but I hear a lot of commotion outside. And I already know, no matter if I'm in the room, in the shower, on the toilet, or hanging out in the day room, I'm accustomed to certain level of noise in the unit. Now, when those noise deviate, whether it gets too quiet or too loud, there's shit going on. So while I'm in the shower, I hear people, hey, don't, hey, just yelling like, oh, hey, don't, hey. I'm like, oh shit. Either somebody's about trying to get into it and these dudes are, trying to prevent it or whatever. Like I said, I'm in the shower, but I hear the different volume changing, and the unit got really loud. Everybody's yelling, hey, don't, hey, don't, hey. So, when I hear noises like that, I'm not just gonna sit under the water and just continue what I'm doing. I rinse off as quick as I can. I put on it, I get dressed, I dry myself up, get dressed, and I just keep hearing the noise getting loud. Hey, stop, hey, don't. And I hear a, whoa, hey, and like a crash, right? And a crash. I know it really don't, I'm 99% sure that it don't have anything to do with me or my peoples, but I've been conditioned to, hey, when you hear the noises, When the shit gets quiet, until you can confirm that I don't got nothing to do, put your shoes on and get ready. So, I don't even have all my clothes on. I just put on my boxer, boom, slip on my shoes. And, in the shower, in the unit that we're in Florence, they got like 6 showers. The doors are high, but it's screened. But when you go shower, you bring your sheet or whatever, you put it over the door so that, so them shower sharks don't be over there looking at you, feeding off you. And also, it's just like, who wants people watching you while you're showering? You know what I mean? So I have my sheet up, whatever. I put on my gear, put on my shoes, and I slide my curtain over before I come out the door because I want to know what the fuck I'm coming out into the unit into, what's going on. So I pull over the door and I hear the CO is running over there. Everybody locked down, everybody locked down. But I'm looking and I don't see any fight or anything, nobody fighting, right? I just see the homie, man, he's shit. He's from he's a vice lord. Man, his name just slipped. Oh, Bebe. Bebe had the yard for the vice lord and for the most part the Midwest car. And Bebe, his case was a dope case in conjunction with the Black Mafia family, the BMF. That big case back in early 2000 or whatever. He was on that case and they had given him a 20-year sentence. And at this time, he's already been down like 17, 18 years. He had went home a month before me, but I found out a few months ago that, he went back to what he knew. And he's back in custody facing a grip of time, which is sad. But that's for another story. But Bebe, I've had a relationship with him. I met him when he came to Florence. I was there first, and he came, and by all account, he's one of the coolest dude. One of the, dudes I got a lot of respect and a lot of love for him. Me and him got really close, and during the time over there, I've never had a problem, having a conversation with him. I've never had an issue with getting what I need, to run my poker game or run my dice game. Because, there's only a handful of people that keeps, money, stamps, or whatever, that has resources like that. And I can always go to Bebe, hey, I need 200 bucks. I'm going to run a dice game real quick. And he'll go get it, boom, and I'll send him the money whenever. I'm going to say, I could tell him, hey, I'll send you the money in a couple weeks, or I'll send you the money tomorrow. And he ain't got no problem letting me hold whatever I need to hold to do whatever I'm trying to do, right? So you got all these dudes. So when I come out of the shower, like I said, the CO is running in, telling everybody to lock in, and all that stuff. So I got my towel, I got my shower shoes, I got my shoes on. I got my shower shoes and my little shower kit in my hand. And I pull down my sheet and I'm walking to my cell. But when I'm walking, I see 2 dudes sprawled on the floor. I see a dude named Cup. And Cup's a big dude. He's at least 6'2", 280. He's a big dude, just, sloppy big, not like buff or nothing, but he's a big dude. And I could, probably say he's more than 300 pounds, right? And Bebe, he's about 5'9", maybe 210, 180, 190, around there. He's a good sized dude too, but I see food everywhere. Somebody was eating a bowl of cereal or some shit, but, you give us a plastic bowl. That shit's sprawled on the floor. Food's everywhere. I see Cup, the big dude, he's on the ground moaning and groaning and, and then I see Bebe on the floor, laid out on the floor. And, Cup's from the Midwest. But, my thought wasn't like, man, they couldn't have gotten in a fight because, one, Bebe's in a Bebe's the speaker for all the Vice Lord and all the Midwest. They're not gonna allow somebody to take off on him and beat him up or anything like that. If there's any issues, he's got soldiers that's gonna step up and handle the business. But so I'm kind of like baffled at the scene that I'm coming out to, because I got these two dudes, they're on the floor, sprawled out, and the CO's on top of one of them with his mace out, threatening to mace him if he doesn't calm down or whatever. But everybody else, they're on their way to their cell because they call for lockdown. So I go, I step away from this, I walk around the scene and I go into my cell and I lock in. So when I lock, but after about maybe 10, 15 minutes, the COs came back and started opening the doors back for everybody. So when I come out, I find out what had happened while I was in the shower. I guess they had a new batch of that Tucci to come in, and they were letting people try it out or whatever. And Cup was one of the dudes that was trying out the pieces. So I went into his room, and the pieces they're selling you are little squares like this big, like no bigger than that. And it gets you there. It gets you, into another realm. Some of them gets you into another realm, like for lack of a better word, And I guess he went in his room and he smoked that sample piece. And when he smoked that sample piece, he came out of his cell. He lived on the second tier. If anybody's been in the penitentiary, every unit, you got 2 tiers. And you got bars, maybe about, for me, I'm a little shorter. I'm 5'6", 5'5 3/4. We just say 5'6". But the bars come up to maybe, my nipples. So the bar is kind of high up there on the second tier. But again, Cup is like 6'1", 6'2", 300 plus pounds. And he came out of his cell. The story's being relayed to me by, the dudes was down there. And they seen him leaning on the rail, like tripping, like just high, just tripping and leaning on the rail, just kind of like having half of his body over the rail. Now, in Florence, under the second tier, around the walk, right about 5 feet, from the door, they got a big ass cement block that goes the length of the unit. It gets broken off at the poles, but it goes the length of the unit, and they're about maybe 3 feet wide and 1.5 feet high. This is solid cement, solid cement. Like this is, it's there for people to sit down on or whatever. And it's right under the tier. So right when you come out, the length of the walkway from upstairs coming out to the bars is about where, those center blocks on the bottom tier. So I guess Cup had came out and he was tripping, and everybody could see that he was tripping because he was just like walking around like a zombie and just, dazed out, and he just kept leaning over the bars. And everybody downstairs like, hey, that's what the yelling was coming from. They were like, hey, don't, hey, because it looked like he was gonna jump, So they're down there at the bottom floor, looking at Cup on the second tier, trying to, talk him out of it, hey, and yelling at him not to do it. And they said he just kept going in and out of his consciousness. And then he leaned over the bars and dove off the second tier. But when that happened, you got all these dudes that are there watching the incident. Like nobody ran up the stairs to go grab him and put him back in his cell. All these dudes, even the ones that are supposed to be his homies that fuck with him tough, none of them ran up there to grab him, put him in his cell. They were just down there on the bottom tier looking up and just yelling at him or whatever, But Bebe, when the dude dove off the tier, Bebe ran over there under him and tried to catch him and break his fall. But dude's 300 pounds. And so dude landed on top of Bebe and their body sprawled out. he skidded to the floor. But he's not even in his right mind, so he's not feeling the impact of him hitting Bebe and hitting the floor. But Bebe don't get high. He sip a little bit. He likes to sip, but he was when I seen him on the floor, he was just laid out like because he used his body to catch this 300-pound dude that's jumping off the second tier, and but at the end of the day, like Bebe really saved the dude's life because where he jumped, he couldn't land on that block that I'm telling you about, that solid cement. There's nothing soft about that shit. If you jump 3 feet and land on that shit on your back, from a 3 feet height and land on your back, you're gonna break your back. That shit is cement. It's a solid block. And where he jumped off was right at the end of it, so it is a corner, to the block. But when the dude tipped himself over the tier, Bebe ran underneath him and broke his fall. And, he got fucked up in the city. He hurt his back over the situation. But really, he saved, if he didn't save dude's life, he prevented dude from having serious injuries. Because you're diving onto a floor, if you're jumping off 10 feet onto the grass, you're still going to mess yourself up. So if you're jumping off 10 feet onto a cement floor, ain't no telling what you're going to break, and especially if you land on your head, because he just tipped, because he didn't jump like feet first. He was just leaning over the rail and then tipped himself over and flipped over the bars. And so happens, and Bebe, sacrificed his health, put himself at risk to save dude. And, off subject, just on the homie Bebe, that was the kind of dude he was anyway. He was a dude that would all look out for anybody that needed looking out for. He was a serious individual, but he had a big heart. And, I appreciate, the relationship that I built with him. And I appreciate all the time that he came through for me. Like he never did me any favors or anything, but he was always there because I always paid him, for any transaction that me and him ever got into. But he always gave me everything that I needed when I needed on face value, just on my word. And me and him had a cool rapport. And again, it was sad to hear that he went back in on a new case. He's fighting a new case right now. I don't know the details of it, but yeah, that stuff, that Tucci shit, man, it's fucking up people's minds. And, for the rest of this week, not maybe every episode following this, but I'll just continue on to share stories about, people spazzing out and even dudes that died off this shit. That stuff is a epidemic in the USP. Welcome to the USP.